Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into deepfakes.
Uh-huh.
This AI that can create like videos and audio
Yeah.
that are so realistic that it's virtually impossible to tell that they're fake.
It's pretty wild stuff.
And we're going to be looking at
Yeah.
specifically a system that is designed to fight back against deepfakes.
Yeah. I mean, it's really incredible how fast this technology is evolving.
Right.
What was once just this kind of like niche concept
Right.
is now like a really serious threat.
Yeah.
And we need to understand the tools that are being developed to, address it.
Exactly. So we're looking at an essay today called Deepfake Total by Jörg-Owe,
Okay.
which dives into a system developed by the Fraunhofer Institute, AISIC.
Right.
And they're tackling this head on.
Yeah.
And this is so important because deepfakes can be used for some seriously shady things.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, the system Deepfake Total is so intriguing. It uses some pretty complex methods. Deep learning algorithms, signal processing techniques, all kinds of things to basically spot these fakes.
So break that down for me a little bit.
Sure.
What does that actually mean in practice?
So
how does Deepfake Total actually work?
think about it like this.
Okay.
Deepfake Total is analyzing the tiniest details of an image or a video.
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking for inconsistencies, like in pixel structures.
Right.
Like weird blurring around a face that's been swapped, or even analyzing the audio for mismatched lip movements.
Wow.
It's basically a digital detective.
Okay.
Meticulously searching for clues to kind of reveal the fakery.
So Deepfake Total is sifting through all of these minute details.
Yeah.
That would totally go over my head.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even notice those things.
Right.
That's incredible.
It is.
But how effective is that in the real world?
Right.
I mean, because these deepfakes are getting so good.
They are.
Can it actually keep up?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yep.
In a very controlled environment. Deepfake Total boasts almost 100% accuracy, which is incredible.
Wow.
But, the online world is a different beast.
Right, because deepfakes online can be compressed,
Yeah.
edited, shared in so many different ways. That must make detection so much harder.
Exactly.
So what are the limitations of Deepfake Total?
Wow.
Where does it still struggle?
Well, you hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
The real world is messy, right?
Uh-huh.
And that makes things really tricky for any detection system.
Right.
Deepfake Total's accuracy does go down when it has to deal with these variations in the real world.
Okay.
But, it's still a huge step forward.
Yeah.
And what's really encouraging is that, the team behind it isn't just focused on the tech.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What else are they doing?
So they're taking kind of a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
They're constantly refining the technology, of course.
Right.
But they're also focusing on collaboration and digital literacy,
Okay.
which are really key to tackling this issue effectively.
Collaboration makes sense, especially for something as complex as this.
Yeah.
But digital literacy, that's an interesting angle.
Uh-huh.
Why is that so crucial in the fight against deepfakes?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
The more people understand how deepfakes are made and what to look for,
Yeah.
the less likely they are to be fooled, right?
Right.
So they're essentially empowering us all
Yeah.
to be more critical consumers of the content that we see online.
So it's like they're giving us the tools,
Yeah.
but we also need to use our own judgment to
Exactly.
be more discerning.
Uh-huh.
But how are they approaching this collaborative aspect?
Well,
What does that look like?
AISIC is working with all kinds of different organizations,
Okay.
tech companies, universities, even international organizations,
Wow.
to pool resources and knowledge.
Uh-huh.
So, they're sharing databases of deepfakes to train these detection algorithms.
Right.
They're establishing best practices for responsible use of the technology.
Okay.
It's a very open approach, which is pretty unique in the tech world.
That is very different from what we see from some tech companies
Yeah.
that keep their algorithms very secret.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this open approach is more effective in the long run?
It's certainly an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
And I think the transparency could be key to building trust and fostering collaboration.
Right.
But, Schnephat's essay also dives into the ethical considerations here,
Okay.
which is really important.
Yeah.
Because deepfakes raise a lot of questions that go beyond just catching the bad guys.
That's true. It feels like there are these bigger questions about how deepfakes could impact society as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Deepfakes have the potential to erode trust in ways that we've never seen before.
Right.
Imagine someone creating a deepfake of you saying something that could ruin your reputation.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's scary because it feels like we're entering a world where seeing is no longer believing.
Right.
So how do we address these ethical considerations?
Yeah.
Is it just about laws and regulations?
Laws are definitely part of the equation.
Okay.
Some countries are already enacting legislation specifically targeting the harmful use of deepfakes. But it's also about fostering the ethical development and use of the technology itself.
Right.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
This is definitely a lot to unpack.
It is.
So Deepfake Total is trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But how do they actually do that?
Oh, they're constantly refining their methods.
Okay.
Exploring new technologies, thinking about future applications.
Right.
They're even looking into ways to develop systems that could detect deepfakes in real time.
Wow.
Like during a video call.
Oh, wow.
Because that's where a lot of the danger lies.
That makes sense.
Right.
It's like a constant arms race.
It is.
Trying to outsmart those who would use this tech maliciously.
Exactly.
But how are deepfakes already impacting society? What are the real-world consequences that we're seeing right now?
Well, one of the... Welcome back to our deep dive.
So we touched on how deepfakes are already affecting society.
Yeah.
What are some specific examples of this in action? I mean, how are deepfakes actually showing up in the real world, and what kind of damage are they causing?
So one of the most concerning areas is the potential for political manipulation. Imagine a deepfake video circulating online showing a politician making a controversial statement they never actually made.
Oh, yeah, that could easily swing public opinion.
Exactly.
Especially if it goes viral before anyone can debunk it.
Right.
It's a nightmare scenario for any democracy.
Absolutely. And it's not just about elections.
Right.
Deepfakes can be used to discredit journalists, spread propaganda, or even incite violence.
Wow.
There have even been cases where deepfakes were used to create fake revenge porn.
Oh, gosh.
Which causes significant emotional distress and reputational damage to the victims.
That's awful.
Yeah.
It seems like deepfakes could really amplify existing societal problems.
Yeah.
Like misinformation and online harassment.
For sure.
It almost feels like we're losing control of the narrative of what's real and what's not.
That is the danger. As these technologies become more sophisticated and easier to create, the potential for harm just grows.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down that road, I think it's important to understand how these deepfakes are actually made.
Okay.
We've mentioned Jans a couple of times.
Right.
I think it's worth unpacking that a bit more.
Yes. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it.
Okay.
How do these Jans actually work? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it?
It really does.
But the basic idea is actually surprisingly simple.
Okay.
So imagine two AI algorithms battling it out.
Okay.
One algorithm called the generator is responsible for creating the fake content, the deepfake.
Okay.
The other one is called the discriminator, and that one's trying to spot the fakes.
So they're like digital rivals.
Exactly.
Constantly trying to outsmart each other.
Precisely. And the more they train against each other, the better they get.
So the generator's getting better at making the fakes.
Yeah.
And the discriminator's getting better at spotting them.
Exactly. It's a constant back and forth.
Wow.
Which is driving the technology forward at an alarming pace.
That explains why we're seeing such rapid advancements in deepfake quality.
Right.
But Schnepp's essay also mentions some positive applications of deepfakes.
Yes.
It's not all doom and gloom, right?
That's right. Like any powerful technology, deepfakes have the potential for both good and bad.
Okay.
In the entertainment industry, for example, deepfakes can be used to de-age actors.
Oh, wow.
Create digital doubles for dangerous stunts, or even bring back deceased performers.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's like giving filmmakers a whole new set of creative tools.
Yeah, it really is.
But are there applications beyond Hollywood?
Absolutely. Deepfakes have potential in education.
Okay.
For example, to create interactive historical simulations where students can interact with figures from the past.
That would definitely make history class a lot more engaging.
I think so.
It sounds like deepfakes could be a powerful tool for learning.
They certainly could. And in advertising,
okay,
deepfakes can be used to personalize marketing campaigns, tailoring messages to specific demographics or even individuals.
Interesting.
There are also potential applications in medicine where deepfakes could be used to create realistic simulations for training purposes.
Oh, wow.
For example, medical students could practice complex procedures on virtual patients that are generated using deepfake technology.
So it's not just about trickery and deception.
Right.
There's real potential here to do some good with this tech.
Exactly, but it's crucial that we develop these technologies responsibly,
Right.
with ethical guidelines and safeguards in place.
Of course.
To prevent misuse, and of course,
Yeah.
we need robust detection methods. Right.
To identify and flag deepfakes when they're used for malicious purposes.
Yeah, we've talked about deepfake total.
Right.
But what other tools are being developed to fight back against deepfakes?
That's a great question.
It sounds like we need a whole arsenal
We do.
to tackle this problem.
Yeah.
So what else is out there besides deepfake total? What are some of the other approaches being explored?
So one really promising area of research is the development of algorithms
Okay.
that can analyze the subtle artifacts that deepfakes often leave behind.
Okay.
Even the most sophisticated deepfakes aren't perfect.
Right.
They might have inconsistencies in lighting or shadows or reflection.
Interesting.
Or there might be subtle distortions in facial expressions that the human eye wouldn't catch,
Right.
but that algorithms can be trained to detect.
It's like they're looking for those tiny imperfections.
Exactly.
The telltale signs that give away the fakery.
Precisely. And these algorithms are becoming increasingly sophisticated. Some can even analyze the audio track of a video.
Okay. Looking for inconsistencies in voice patterns or background noise that might indicate a deepfake.
It's like becoming a digital detective,
It is.
scrutinizing every detail for clues.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. But is technology enough?
Well, technology is crucial.
Yeah.
But it's only part of the solution.
Okay.
We also need to focus on educating the public.
Right.
Raising awareness about the dangers of deepfakes, and equipping people with the skills to identify and critically evaluate online content.
So it goes back to that digital literacy piece we were talking about earlier.
Yes, exactly.
How do we actually teach people to be more discerning consumers of online content? What are some practical steps we can take?
One approach is to integrate media literacy into school curricula.
Okay.
Starting at a young age,
So,
we need to teach kids how to evaluate sources, identify bias, and recognize manipulated content.
yeah, catch them early.
Right.
Build those critical thinking skills from the ground up.
Exactly. It's about giving them the tools to think critically about the information they encounter online.
That's so important.
Yeah.
But what about adults
Yeah.
who may not have had that kind of education?
Well, there are a number of organizations that offer resources and training for adults.
Okay.
For example, the News Literacy Project and the Center for Media Literacy provide workshops, online courses, and other materials to help people develop their media literacy skills.
So there are resources out there,
Yes,
but it's also about changing our mindset, right?
it is.
We need to be more skeptical,
Yeah.
more questioning of what we see online.
Absolutely. It's about fostering a culture of healthy skepticism where people are encouraged to question everything they see and hear online.
It's like we need to develop a healthy distrust of the digital world,
Right.
which is kind of ironic given how much we rely on it.
It is ironic.
Yeah.
But in this new landscape of manipulated reality,
Right.
trust needs to be earned, not blindly given.
Okay.
It's about verifying information, seeking out multiple perspectives, and being willing to challenge our own assumptions.
Trust but verify. That's a good motto for the digital age.
It really is, and it's not just about individual responsibility.
Right.
Media organizations, social media platforms, and tech companies all have a role to play in combating the spread of misinformation.
Right. They need to step up and take responsibility
Yeah.
for the content that's being shared on their platforms.
Absolutely. They need to invest in fact-checking initiatives, implement robust content moderation policies, and develop tools to make it easier for users to report and flag potential deepfakes.
So it's a collective effort.
It is.
Everyone needs to do their part.
Everyone.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there are a lot of promising initiatives underway.
There are.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the technical aspects of deepfakes to the ethical considerations of potential solutions. But Schneepet's essay also delves into the deeper philosophical implications of this technology.
Yes.
It raises questions about the nature of truth, the erosion of trust, and the potential for deepfakes to fundamentally alter our perception of reality.
Right.
And that's what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dives into deepfakes.
It's been quite a journey exploring the technical, ethical, and societal implications of this rapidly evolving technology.
It really has. And as we wrap up our discussion of Jörg-Owe essay, Deepfake Total, I want to kind of delve into those deeper philosophical questions that you mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
Schneppat talks about deepfakes challenging the very nature of truth.
Right.
And that's a pretty profound concept to grapple with.
It is profound, and it gets to the heart of how deepfakes are reshaping our relationship with reality.
Right.
You know, in a world where seeing is no longer believing,
Yeah.
what happens to our sense of truth?
Right.
How do we navigate a landscape where any video or audio recording could potentially be fabricated?
It's almost like we're entering a post-truth era.
Right.
Where facts and evidence are increasingly malleable.
Yeah.
And where subjective interpretations can trump objective reality.
That's a very real concern. You know, deepfakes have the potential to erode trust not only in individuals and institutions, but in the very notion of truth itself.
Wow.
And when trust breaks down, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild.
Right.
You know, it can lead to skepticism, cynicism, a sense of powerlessness in the face of an increasingly complex and uncertain world.
It's like we're all adrift in a sea of information.
Right.
Constantly bombarded with conflicting narratives.
Yeah.
Struggling to discern what's real and what's not.
That's a powerful image, and it captures the sense of disorientation that many people feel in the face of this deepfake phenomenon.
Right.
And it's not just about individual perception.
Okay.
Deepfakes have the potential to disrupt social cohesion, to sow discord, to undermine the shared understanding of reality that binds communities together.
It's a recipe for chaos and division.
It is.
Especially in an era where political polarization and social fragmentation are already on the rise.
Exactly. Deepfakes can be weaponized to amplify existing divisions, to spread misinformation, and to manipulate public opinion on a massive scale.
Right.
And the scariest part is that as the technology becomes more sophisticated, it will become even harder to detect and debunk these fakes.
So what can we do about it? Is there any hope of pushing back against this tide of manipulated reality?
There's always hope. We can't afford to succumb to despair or cynicism.
Right.
We need to be proactive, vigilant, and committed to truth.
So where do we start? What are the most important steps we can take?
Well,
as individuals and as a society to mitigate the negative impacts of deepfakes?
It's a multifaceted challenge that requires a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
First and foremost, we need to raise awareness.
Okay.
We need to educate ourselves and others about the dangers of deepfakes, about how they're made, and about the potential consequences of their misuse.
So it goes back to that digital literacy piece we keep coming back to.
Exactly. We need to equip people with the tools to critically evaluate online content, to identify potential deepfakes, and to be more discerning consumers of information.
But it's not just about individual responsibility.
Right.
What about the role of institutions and technology companies?
They have a crucial role to play as well.
Okay.
Social media platforms, for example, need to take more responsibility for the content that's being shared on their platforms.
Right.
They need to invest in fact-checking initiatives, develop more robust content moderation policies, and make it easier for users to report and flag potential deepfakes.
So it's about holding these platforms accountable.
It is.
For creating a safer and more trustworthy online environment.
Absolutely. And it's not just about platforms.
Right.
We need to explore legislative solutions, ethical guidelines for developers, and industry standards to ensure that deepfake technology is used responsibly and ethically.
It sounds like it's going to require a collective effort.
It will.
A collaboration between individuals, institutions, and the tech industry.
Yes.
To really tackle this challenge.
It absolutely will. This is not a problem that any one entity can solve alone.
Right.
We need to work together to share knowledge, to develop innovative solutions, and to foster a culture of critical thinking and media literacy.
And a daunting task.
It is.
But one that we can't afford to ignore.
We can't.
The stakes are too high. The future of truth, and indeed the future of our shared reality, depends on the choices we make today.
Well said. And as we conclude our deep dive into Jörg-Owe Schneppat's work, I think that's a powerful message to leave our listeners with.
Absolutely.
In a world where technology is blurring the lines between fact and fiction, it's more important than ever to be vigilant, to be critical thinkers, and to be active participants in shaping the future of truth.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a fascinating and, frankly, a little bit unsettling journey. But I think we've all come away with a better understanding of the challenges and opportunities presented by this powerful new technology. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay engaged.